don't plan on this being too long. I'm gonna spend a little time on this topic about concerning this project, this Black Project 2025. I don't really want to go over an hour, but I think it's something that we definitely should talk about as we talk about political movements that Black people need to be a part of. Man, before we get going any further, man, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, throw 50K in the chat. We got a 50,000 subscriber movement going on the channel right now. Here at the channel, we gonna get it. We want 50,000 people here with me, Boy G the Charm Guy, having uncomfortable, controversial conversations. Um, so I appreciate everybody that give a like, man. The most important thing you can do here is give a like and share. We want YouTube to recommend our channel, um, and we want this conversation to reach as many people as it can, because things that we talk about here on this channel, I know that it's going to improve the life of someone, because all the conversations that we have are meaningful. I'm gonna get into this right now. I'm just finna start cooking, and I'm just gonna cook. I'm gonna try my best not to pay attention to the trolls in the comments. If I get any minds to come in, y'all know how to handle that. Okay, so Project Black Project 2025. I was actually told about this through a friend of mine. I had never heard about it. It's something that's been going viral amongst black people on TikTok, probably everywhere, where a young lady had an idea to have uh, uh, a version of Project 2025 that will, I'm assuming, meet the needs of black people and address the issues that black people have had. She was going to have a bunch of people donate money to her, and through that money source, fund projects that we need. um and something that seems a little unique, but to me a little difficult, was she put the money in a coin. She backed the coin. Now I'm not sure if this was a I guess it's a created coin she had. I don't, I'm not, I don't know all of the details around it, but this is the vague description of what this chick did. Okay, this is the vague description of what she did. But the whole goal was to have a movement for black people that we could get involved in, donate money to. A bunch of people donated money. I think she ended up getting somewhere like $100,000. And she was talking about the money she was getting as well. Well, you know how we do on social media. She was basically, they said she got an apartment with the money. Then they said they seen her driving around in a Lamborghini, and all of a sudden she got a bunch of accusations of her being a scam artist. Um, and so she had to come out eventually and say she wasn't a scammer, and talk about all the people that she had a part of the company, all the people that had came to volunteer, and how much the infrastructure cost, and this, that, and the third. That was like, a statement she made via Instagram, via TikTok. And then subsequently, eventually, she had to come out and say, "Hey, uh, I'm canning this. Um, you know, anybody that wants a partial refund, they'll get a partial refund. This, that, and the third." I want to talk about something very important with any type of movement that you do grassroots. First off, you have to be a good student of the game. You have to be a student of the game. You have to understand that when you're taking people's money and you're taking donations from people, and you say you're going to do something, somebody want to see you do it. And more often than not, most people want to see immediate returns. So if you're taking money from people, they're giving you money, and you say you're going to go out here and do anything for the community, most people would like to see that turn around very quick, especially when it comes to the black community. Errors that I think this young lady made. First off, she's very young. This lady probably 25 years old. You young, you 25, you don't really have how many movements have you studied? Have you studied any type of movement? Have you studied any type of black revolutionary causes? Do you know the ups and downs of any type of cause that you have? Have you studied groups and organizations that have been around for years? Have you studied groups and organizations that have been around for quite some time and how successful they've been versus those that haven't been very successful? If you look at the Black Panthers when they had their their the lunch program, breakfast program, where they were feeding kids in the community. Hey man, I'm blocking you, dog. I don't know why y'all come do this. Why don't y'all go somewhere else, man? Who's a rage baiter? You out of here, man. I'm here talking. Either you gonna listen or you can move on. And let me get this out the way. I don't think scammer at all. I think she young. But it comes off scammy when you don't have your ducks in a row and you taking a bunch of money from people and it's all over the place. Or you on social media and you want to be seen. And it's typically gonna happen with us as black people all the time. We want our face out there. We want to be the face of something great so we can get the gratification of today. And that's not how this thing works when you fighting for the people. Now, if you podcasters or even with podcasting, whatever you doing, you are putting yourself out in front of people for a cause, whatever the case may be. And if you're going to have a cause, something that you fighting for, you better damn well be involved in the right people in it and you persevere through that. But what you don't do is come up with a cause, ask people for their money, take all their money, and then all of a sudden nothing comes to fruition and we see you out here doing things that's contrary to what you said you was going to be doing. And you have to be smarter than that because you have people that are adversarial out here. You'll be doing a good cause. You'll be out here trying to make something pop. And there are people that just want to look at the comments. People that come in and just troll. There are people that see a video, see a title, and they just come to troll. They have no other reason but to troll. So it's the same thing when you have people that have just come to a movement. They'll come somewhere and they want to tear it down and destroy it. They want to tear your movement down and destroy your movement. So you got to have your ducks in a row. And a lot of these things, I'm just going to be quite honest, you have to do covertly. You have to be covert when you are doing things that affect the community because they're just adversarial energies out there, no matter where they may lie. So you taking 100, first off, in the grand scheme of things, for any movement, $100,000 is not a lot of money. It's just not a lot of money. But it's a lot of money for a small organization. It's a lot of money for one person in donations. You have to have people in place that know what to do with that money. You should have been had a CPA. You should have been had somebody that can run a counselor. Because I'm going to tell you like this. You can give somebody $30,000 right now and they're not going to be able to keep up with it, especially if they start spending it. You can't do that. If you put whatever you going to do, you put that behind a group, behind a program, and you let the program speak for itself. You doing all the talking for the money, you being the spokesperson, and you taking the money, and you got the bank account, and you working backwards. So people gonna think that you're scamming. And the issue with black people is that we have too many scammers in our culture. It's way too many scammers in our culture. We got a culture of scam energy. People damn near looking for the scam. So you can't take no money. I don't want to see somebody not bragging but informing us that you got $100,000 and then tomorrow we see you having fun riding around in a Lambo. You can't be doing stuff like that. When you are committed to the struggle, when you are committed to the movement, when you are committed to anything that you want to see change, you got to commit to that and see it through. And you can't let your ego take over. You can't let your arrogance take over. And you can't be corrupted. You can't allow yourself to be corrupted. Anybody can be corrupted, but you can't allow yourself to fall into corruption world. You just can't do that. And that happens often with us. We just seen this with Dr. Umar Johnson. You promised us a school. You took 10 years of just collecting money and taking money and using that money for God knows what. We ain't seen nothing from you. We seen the outside of a building that took 10 years to build. It took you 10 years to build that. So we have to learn from our mistakes. We have to learn from the past. so we don't repeat it. I also don't know how I feel about taking any donations from somebody and putting it into crypto. Now, I'ma just be honest. There's a lot of scam energy around crypto if you doing that. I'm not saying crypto's bad. I'm not saying, but there's scams with crypto. There have been some scams. Didn't Rick Ross? You got these pump and dump coins where they pump it up, they want people to invest, and then they just get rid of it or whatever the case may be. Like, there's a lot of scam energy around crypto. So why would you take money from people where you're trying to put it into a company or organization that's going to be beneficial to a community and involve it with crypto? Poor move. Poor move. I'm going to say something that's very controversial because that's what I do here. I think in a lot of liberal movements, and I consider that a liberal movement, especially when you talk about the black community, I think it's a liberal movement. It's too many women running it, and it's too many of our women running it, and they don't know what they're doing. Y'all got to get some leadership from elders, elder women and men. You need a diverse group of people when you're trying to, because that's what you're representing. But a lot of these people don't know what they're doing. And a lot of these young women don't know what they're doing. You want to be the leader. You want to be the face of something. You want to be you want to make change. That's awesome. But you have to be methodical. You have to have wisdom around you. You just can't be out here doing shit. Because you're going to find yourself in this. Like, I think that she can get out of this. I was just telling my friend this. I think that her closing this down, saying she was wrong, giving some partial refunds, people will soon forget. You can come back. This might have been a blessing. This might have been a blessing in disguise that this all went south. She can come back later and say, hey, I made a mistake, y'all. That didn't work. I learned from it. This is what we're going to do moving forward in the future. But to have to take $100,000, then you show your financials, 30,000 of it is gone. A lot of people don't understand how this works when you doing stuff. Okay, on this channel and several other channels, people take donations for their podcasts, and we kind of understand why. Buying equipment, buying gear, you see shows grow. I mean, we've shot our show in the studio. We've had cameras that we've used. We working on another situation to have cameras that we're putting money out of our own pockets and accepting donations. And anybody want to support our show and grow because we have a purpose. Well, you kind of know that. You know what you're doing with that. We told you what you're doing. So when you get people to do that and then support your show, or any PBS, or any of these establishments that are giving you something, giving you content, you kind of know what you're giving towards. But when you just saying, when you broadly saying, hey, I'm going to help the community, I'm going to do this, and you taking in money, and then you trying to backtrack and show people where the money is went, people typically don't understand that. We know here on the podcast, hey, we buying cameras, we buying computers, production costs. And you're going to always have production costs when you're doing this. So CNN, they have advertisement. Like, money costs in media. But if you don't have that, and you're saying, hey, give me some money for the community, well, exactly what are we giving the money towards? It's nothing wrong with taking donations and setting up funds for things that you want to do for the community. It's nothing wrong with that. But what is the plan? Have you put out a plan? Have you put together some type of think tank? Are you getting people that actually have money to fund that, and then coming up with a program from there, and then finding ways to get donations and moving? There's a way to do this, but you only know that through studying. We need a balance in ages too. I think the girl was too young. You know, you can be young and do things. We had a Martin Luther King who was a young man who got some movements done, but he had some elders around him. He had some wisdom around him as he was doing it. Plus, my shout out to my homegirl for bringing this up too. You know, there was a 25-year-old back then trying to be a part of the movement is much different from a 25-year-old today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's much different from today trying to do it. So you just got to really, you have to be careful this is a lesson to anybody that wants to do something, man. You got to be careful when you on social media and you taking money from people and you trying to make a movement go without a real solid plan. It just sounds good. Because you must have had a little bit of change to put on the production and make the little commercials. And there's a lot of TikTok learning going on. It's a lot of TikTok. People take TikTok and these clips at face value. It's a lot of that happening. And so we just buying into it. The fact that that lady was able to raise $100,000 says a lot about her. But you gotta have a team in place. So y'all will give money out here, but people want to see you doing something with the money. Because we've seen too many times in our culture, especially in black culture, where people take money and they misuse it. You got to have checks and balances in place with anybody when it comes to money. And let me be very clear. I don't care who it is. I don't care who you think you are. When you get a lot of money, when you get large sums of money at once, it can be difficult to handle when you spend it and there's no type of system in place to monitor where the money's going. Look at your check. Look at the check that you get paid every week or every 2 weeks. Look at how fast it goes. Are you actually looking at every dime that you spend, every penny? You have to understand what you're doing with the money. So it's disheartening to see a good idea go down the drain because of inexperience and arrogance. There's a little bit of arrogance with her. First off, I wouldn't get on here crying about nothing. And I don't think you really need to explain. You may get up here and say, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with this. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need some damage control. Two errors that I think people make, especially in the black community, when we want to do anything in the community that's involving money, we love to be the face of something. We love to be the face of something. Again, rappers, that's understood. Entertainers, artists, podcasters. I mean, we fall under entertainment, to be honest. Yeah, we want our face out there. Yeah, we're the spokesperson or something. Yeah, we have a brand. But if I were going to do something for a community, if I'm representing the community and I would like to get a group or organization and put it behind that organization. I have my critiques on the NAACP, but it's a group. We know there was some founders involved. We know some people that are involved. It might be some presidents of some chapters, but it's an organization. The NAACP can show up and say, hey, the NAACP donated this. We know that it's an organization donating something. You want to typically do that. The Heritage Foundation is made up of people. And that's the other part of this, too. I don't think it was wise to take the name Project 2025 and apply it to that. It just didn't make any sense. And I would not have done that. You know, you have an idea. You start off doing something, you get donations, and you say you're giving it towards a cause. That's what you do. Let's say she could have got up there and been like, hey, I'm taking donations for a toy drive. We're going to do a toy drive every 2 weeks. Give me donations. Man, she could have got $1 million. We wouldn't have known because she buying toys every 2 weeks. She could have shown people that she's doing something, had it go to a real organization, and all the while really put that money in some other uses and then go to people and be like, hey, not only did we do the toy donation, that worked, but we doing this. Now we doing a water giveaway. You got to show us as black people that you doing something with our money because we want to see the return on investment fast. We want to see damn near today what you done did with our money. Now we know it don't work like that. We know it don't work like that. Let me tell you something. If you want to make change, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you may not live to see whatever you're working towards come to fruition. And that's in any movement. You set up an ideology, you want to leave a legacy behind, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you may never see that thing come to fruition. I'm sure if we could go wake up George Washington and he could look at the United States today, he would be like, oh, wow, like this is what the United States became just off of us wanting to be free in the 13 colonies? Yes. And it took a couple 100 years to do so. So you have to understand that it takes time to do things. Nothing is going to be immediate. And when you're strategizing and planning, you need to look at it that way. I, Announcing that you got $100,000 mean you excited about that much money. I wouldn't be announcing anything. I would be getting donations. I would be taking money. I would tell people what my cause is, and I would allow people to see that movement grow and really have your heart in the right place. Again, I don't really think this chick is a scammer, but I just think often we as black people continuously fall into these scenarios where we're mishandling money, where we're just mishandling an organization, and it falls to pieces. We see this time and time and time and time again. You have to study organizations that have been successful. Man, if y'all just tuning in, hit that like button. If y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, hit that like button too. Hit the heart. We want YouTube to recommend this conversation that we're having right now. Right now, we're talking about the Black Project 2025 and pretty much its failure, okay? That's what we're talking about right now, just to get anybody up to speed. We're talking about Black Project 2025, the young lady who started the organization, took a bunch of donations. She got money, I think like 100,000. She showed her financial where the money was at. 30,000 was gone. That went to, of course, cost. And hey, I believe that it's a cost to having money. It's a cost to money transactions. It's a cost to just facilitating things. So even with her trying to have this coin, I mean, there's a cost to that. There's a cost to having that coin. I'm sure. There's a cost to if you're gonna have a website, or you're gonna have some kind of any type of internet connection, any type of web presence. As a company, you a startup, you're gonna have to have some cybersecurity. Like you're gonna have to have people involved that you have to pay. That's just understandable. So I understand that, but does everybody who donated to you understand that? How many people understand that they have to give you that the money is gonna come with cost, and that's what you need. The movement costs, the revolution costs, community organization costs, and when I'm talking about revolution, I'm not talking about. I don't think there's any organization in the United States of America right now that we, as American citizens, that we got to have some wild, violent revolution. You don't have to have that. That's not what we having. I'm talking about revolution in terms of just changing your community. You look at the inner city in Black America. There's food deserts, so we know that we need food. We need grocery store. Like there's so much to address. There's so much to address that money can go to, and 100,000 isn't enough. So she needs a lot. She needs a lot. But I think without experience, it can hurt your movement. Advertising too soon is an issue. I think you can talk. You need a level of advertisement. You need a level of donation. I can understand that, but to some degree, I just would keep it very simple. If I were her, I would have kept that very simple, and I would have named it something else. You know, Typically there are things that people just don't question. United Way, what the hell they didn't give money to? I'm sure they do, but people give to United Way so much, who knows how much? If we looked up their financials, I'm sure they've taken in Uber's amount of money. There are a lot of organizations like that that take in a tremendous amount of money. I'm talking about tremendous amount. They take in a tremendous amount of money, and we don't really question it because we do see them doing something. And to some degree, we see them doing something. So I just feel like, and I'm gonna move over to this part of the conversation and say this. And I've spent some time on it, but now I'm gonna move away from her, and I'm gonna just talk about scam culture with within all these organizations that want money. Um, where's the money going? What are you trying to improve when people have taken their hard-earned money and given it to you? You probably gotten a spectrum of donations. What plan do you have? Are you just asking for money? And it's the issue with us as black people often. We want your money, but we don't want to give no good service. We don't want to give good service. We really don't want to have to answer a lot of questions. We don't want to do that. So if I'm donating to you and I'm giving you money, exactly where is this going? Where's the money going? What are you doing? What's the plan? Why don't you already have this in place before you ask me for money? We will go get that money. And we feel like that's like the most important part of the equation because we think about dollars first. You need to be thinking about your plan first. You need to think about your organization first. You need to be doing things yourself first. There are going to be a lot of times where you have to fund what that is. And then, it's the old saying that if you're pushing the car, people are more inclined to help you. If they see you pushing it, they'll get out and help you. But if you just stand on the side of the road with your thumb out, most likely people aren't going to want to help you. What is the plan? Even when it comes to black business. Now, okay. So Slutty Vegan. I caught a little wind of, they're closing stores. I think they had a store at Spelman, location in Spelman is closing down. There was a lot of critique on the business and the service and things costing too much. Black organizations are bad with this. Things cost way too much. When I come to your business, when I come to your bar, why are you charging out the wazoo for that? Why are you charging so much? Why are you charging for a reservation? Why are you charging that? Why is the liquor so expensive? Now we gotta know. We might not even be drinking the liquor that you say is in the bottle. It say Casamigos, but it might be Jose Cuervo. We have a very deep issue with that. And one of the problems I feel is when we say something is a black owned business. Why? Just do good business. Why do you have to say it's a black owned business? Do good business, offer good service, and people they're gonna want to pay you money. But I see that happen a lot with businesses too. It's like you're charging too much money for the product, and then it's not good. Sometimes the customer service isn't well. Now somebody else say this, we gonna say they racist. We're gonna say they racist. We're gonna say they don't like supporting us. Or if I say it, we're gonna call me a coon and say I don't like supporting the community. But we know that this happens all the time. I thought Slutty Vegan was all the rage. So what? We grow fast because of the money. We go in with the intentions to make the money. But the thing is, like Dion said, he chased the game. You chase the game, you get the game. You want to have a great business, a great establishment, the money's gonna come. The money will come if you have integrity. I think about Chick-fil-A and the passion that that family had in building that company and what they wanted to provide. Man, Chick-fil-A is so red, conservative. It don't matter. It don't matter who they don't like. People at Chick-fil-A, and then they closed on Sundays. Don't lie, y'all be fiending for that Chick-fil-A. One day I ain't gonna lie, on Sunday, I was like, I could probably just go get me some Chick-fil-A. I'm like, damn, it's Sunday. It's the reputation they built. It's the build of the product. It's the care in the product. Man, the customer service at Chick-fil-A is just, oh my God, amazing. I have not been to, you almost see places now mimicking the customer service at Chick-fil-A. They trying to mimic that. Whataburger is definitely trying. They getting there, but Chick-fil-A is just like, oh man. And now they got a process. Man, you damn near, I don't know, you not waiting too long from that mobile order, from when you going through that drive-through box, you are not waiting long at all to get your stuff from Chick-fil-A. You just not. You not waiting a long time. The customer service is there. The want to build that establishment was there. When you think about products like Apple, the want to build a product that did something great was there. It was all about that. And when you put the value and the why in something, you don't have to say, well, this is a white owned thing, or this is a black owned thing, or this is a Hispanic owned thing. You make a great product and people are gonna spend their money for it. I ain't gonna lie, when people say something black owned, I'm damn near turned off. I'm damn near turned off. I'm almost like, man, why? Because I already know what I'm gonna get. I've seen establishments that I was very fond of that were really, really good. And listen, this is not all black businesses. This is not. There's some great black business out here. There's some great businesses that are doing great things. But most of the time, I think when you say something is black owned, black operated, you're limiting yourself. Not only are you limiting yourself, a lot of times we see a pattern of behavior. We just see bad. It's gonna come down to money. This is my personal opinion. I feel like culturally we'll take your money. We're gonna say we selling something and we're gonna take your money, but we're not gonna give you great service. That's gonna always be a complaint. We're not gonna give you great service. We're not gonna say we're doing we're gonna be running out of shit. We we're gonna run out of shit. We're gonna overprice things. Things are gonna be overpriced every time because that's all we care about is the money. There's no reason a place like Slutty Vegan should be closing down locations. I think a lot of times being the face of things is just not a good look. Make a greater step. I don't know who owned Bojangles. I don't know who owned it. I don't know who started it. I went to the Carolinas. I had me some Bojangles. And, because I was stationed in Virginia, when I left, hanging out in the Carolinas and trying Bojangles, I said we needed to have one in Houston. It took quite some time, but they got 22 locations in the process of being built here in the Houston area. They are already popping up. They had a plan. It's the same thing with 7-Eleven. We ain't really have we spent years in this city watching 7-Eleven commercials. Now I think they had them in Dallas. They ain't having here in Houston. We spent years watching it. Like, okay, 7-Eleven. And then they popped up. There's a way to put out a product. We have to study that. We need to look at how. That's the one thing I feel like that hurts our community and our culture the most. We don't really study any success of any other brands, organizations, cultures. We just don't study it. We're not good students of the game. Like, okay, how did Bojangles go from Buc-ee's? Now, Buc-ee's is something that started in Lake Jackson. That's not far from Houston. That's about roughly, I would measure it from the south side of Houston, south part. So maybe it's 30, 40 minutes outside of Houston because that's where I'm a measure from, right? So that Clute area, Lake Jackson, that's where Buc-ee's came from. And Buc-ee's is a phenomenal advertisement. And then when you go to the Buc-ee's, you get great product. We not even questioning who started Buc-ee's. We not even questioning what they believe in. We know that when we go to Buc-ee's, they got the beef sandwich. You can get your beef brisket sandwich. All the food they got. Get you some great coffee. The restrooms are clean. They got somebody in there cleaning that restroom. It's a product. Now let's take this back to what we was originally talking about, which was, putting money into a movement. Okay, when you look at Project 2025, it's a think tank. It's Heritage Foundation. They got conservatives to get around and put their ideology in there. And of course they gonna fund it. Of course they found a way to fund it. And they made it work. And it's quality. If you go read it in terms of the quality of putting it together and who they brought to make it happen, that's how you do it. You study that. You don't just hear about Project 2025 and you say, I'm going to do that too. And you come up with something like this that crashes and burns. I don't know of many black organizations, leaders, movements as of late that I think have been just awesomely successful. And there's always going to be some thieving of money aspect to it. Why is that the thing? Why is that something that is just attached to our culture heavily? Why? Because I know Dr. Umar Johnson didn't lived off that money. Not only lived off that money, he didn't trick that money off on some women too. We just have to do better. The one thing we have to do, man, you gotta study the past. You gotta study the past. You got to see what worked and what didn't work. And then a lot of times in grassroots startups, you got to spend your money first and show us that it worked. You got to spend your money and ask people around you to donate money and show us what you're doing. And then it makes more sense because we know the young lady could raise money. So just imagine if she had a plan like, okay, I'm going to be doing these things out of my pocket. I'm going to make these things work a certain way. And then I'm going to use my charm, because everybody's a charmer who's here watching or a subscriber. Y'all charmers. Y'all know we got the charm community. I'm a charmer, so I'm going to go out here and then I'm going to be able to use my charm for good. And then I'm going to be able to start getting in proceeds. And I have a system set up. I already know who's going to be helping. I already know who's going to be doing accounting. I already know how I'm going to be operating. So it's not hard to take in that money and make it operate for yourself. It's just not once you're doing it on your own. It's hard for people to feel like you're not scamming them when they don't know exactly what you're doing or what your plan is. And I really don't know what this young lady plan is. I've heard her talk, and then, she had this idea, and then it was a good idea, then all of a sudden it just backfired like a mug on her. And this is just March. This is just March. So we gotta really check the scam culture. We gotta check the scam culture we have. A lot of our leaders, they're not leaders, but they're influencers. They have an aspect to them that's just selfish. They have an aspect to them that's just all about getting some money and talking about money and making money and taking advantage. You gonna pay them to speak. You gonna buy their products. You gonna donate money to them, and we don't see nothing happen. And we've seen this in black churches for years. I think something about, I guess, over the last 40 years, $400 billion have been given to the black church. We've put $400 billion into the black church, and what have we done with the money? 400. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna do the Dr. Umar Johnson shit. I'm gonna say it again. 400. I'm gonna say it again. 400. I'm gonna say it again. 400. I'm gonna say it again. $1 billion. And what have we done with it? We have so many issues that do need to be addressed. We do need to have some funding. But this is what I say here. Look, what I talk about here on this channel versus all of that. The most difficult thing we have to fix is the family. You gotta fix that family first. You have to fix. Everybody got their mission. Everybody has their anointing. Everybody have their ministry. But if we don't fix the internal part of our community, it's always going to be an issue when we're trying to do other things. The first thing that we collectively have to join on, and it's really just going to take the investment of commitment, is fixing the family. These are the things that are destroying us the most, because just look at where we are statistically. I've said it again on this channel. I've said it time and time again. Out of wedlock birth rates. Look at the marriage rates. Look at gentrification. Look at where we are in education. Look at where we are and look at where we stand. We gotta fix those things first. Those are things that's right in front of your face before you get out here and want to take people's money to put towards a cause. The things that are right in front of your face right now are the things that you could change immediately before you start taking in money to fight for a cause that you don't even have a plan for, because we don't know what that cause is. When we start making marriage great again and men take on wives and raise families, I know we can then improve finance. We can improve finance. We can improve education. We can improve our neighborhoods. Imagine if black families made family a priority again and just don't leave the neighborhood, don't have any type of flight. That's gentrification prevention right there. And then have an actual neighborhood watch. Man, the criminality, the attachment to criminality has to leave. That has to go. Just imagine if we just attack the immediate things. See, those are the things that are most difficult. That's difficult. It's difficult to get on top of the things that I'm talking about right now because this is going to require you to look inward. You have to look inside yourself. You got to look inside yourself and say, hey, I got to stay committed to a change. I have to stay committed to what I'm trying to do. And it's a lifelong journey. Let me tell y'all this. Anything that you want to do revolutionary for your community and for yourself is a lifelong commitment. You have to make a lifelong, it ain't 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It ain't 3 months, 6 months. It's a life thing. You want to work out, you want to lose weight and live healthy, you got to dedicate your life to it. You want to see things change politically, you got to dedicate your life to it. You want to see your community change, you got to dedicate your life to it. You want to see your family change, you got to dedicate your life to it. Not your ego, not your arrogance, not wanting to be popular. No. That's bullcrap. You got to pick that cross up and carry it. And it's got to be in your heart. I don't want to be popular. When I get on here and make these videos and grow on the channel, I have a purpose with this. A lot of times I don't really have time. It may not be feasible for me to create content, but I have a purpose. So I create the content. There are times it's 3 people watching, like now. There are times when it's hundreds. I've had thousands. It's ebbs and flow. It doesn't matter. I'm here consistently delivering content with a purpose to grow. And I'm dedicated to that. You got to see it through. You got to be a part of it when it seems like it ain't working. You have to be dedicated to the movement of whatever that movement is. And that movement isn't popularity. That movement isn't looking cool. Oh, I started this. Like, I think we want accolades too much. I've said things on here and I've said things in other places that I'm very well aware of because of the vision it's getting or numbers it's getting, that someone of a bigger influence may have taken it and said it. Great. I don't care. It's not really about me. I'm a vessel. It ain't about me. You ain't even really got to give me credit. I've taken a lot of things that I've taken talking points and said it because the message matters. I do my best to give credit and I try to do it all the time. But if I don't, forgive me. But the messaging is what matters the most. And that's what I believe in. I believe following the purpose, following the message. I'm going to be blessed, man. The money going to come. Things come. The visibility comes. But I don't care about that. It's what I care more about the purpose. I care more about the messages in my heart. So I show up. Right now I'm like, let me do a live. Let me put out a clip. Let me keep the channel flowing so we can keep the conversation going, so we can keep the purpose alive. Let me make sure, let me get things prepared for better production. Let me do some things so I can give the audience out there better production, better audio. Let's do this. Let me get a panel together. I got a panel now. That's really like the team for the show. Let me get someone who can, and by the way, it's real when they say, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Because I'm building something here. Now I got help. I got people coming around. So you gotta you have to do it first. And you have to build it strong. And you have to put your system in practice when it's not a lot of attention to it, so you can work out the kinks. That way when you're really ready to just get it going, you don't mind taking it to a bigger stage. I don't mind taking what I have. I don't mind growing my channel to the bigger stage or taking it where it needs to go because we formatted it. We're making sure things work. That's just how it goes. But you got to be dedicated to your purpose. You got to be dedicated to it. And who cares if somebody, man, people gon' look at Charleston White. People coming at Charleston White for all kind of stuff. He got a purpose, man. That dude got a purpose. He don't care about who coming at him and talking about he. First off, I got to sit down with Andre Taylor, formerly known as Gorgeous Dre. You might have seen him in American Pimp. You know, he's formerly a pimp, and we got to fellowship. Rob J 10X, y'all seen him on some episodes. Here. He's on the Charm Hour panel, and it was actually Rob J that set up the meeting. He came to a cigar lounge. We didn't pay this brother nothing. He just showed up off the invite. We didn't even know he was coming. And Gorgeous Dre, Andre Taylor, sat down with us and he said something very powerful. And if I ever get to meet him again, I'm going to tell him that this was so powerful to me when he said, tell your story before your enemy do. Tell your story before your enemy does. Charleston White has told his story. I've told my story. I tell my ups and downs on here. How I made a mistake divorcing my wife, with whom I'm praying for reconciliation with, for her and my children. I was cheating, infidelity out there in the streets, heavy. Wasn't praying, wasn't doing that. I tell that, but I tell the real ups and downs of it. Because what you don't want somebody to do is use your story against you in pursuit of your purpose. You don't want anybody to do that. You don't want any, because there's adversaries out there. There are adversarial energy out there always waiting to take you down. There's adversarial energy out there waiting to get you out of here. And when you don't tell your story, when you're not transparent, they're going to use that against you every time. So you got to come correct. You have to be prepared for your enemy. And your enemy is more always, more times than not, something that you can't see. Your enemy is something that you cannot look at. And it's somebody always watching you, waiting to take you out. So the way you beat that is you got to be upfront. You got to be upfront. You got to tell your story. You got to be transparent. You got to stay on your purpose. And you got to put people around you to ensure that you don't get corrupted. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Don't forget to like, subscribe, throw 50K in the chat. We got the 50,000 subscriber movement going on here at the channel. For those that just seeing me for the first time, I'm Boy Drew, the Charm Guy. Tuned into the Charm Hour. Y'all know this gonna be up. Y'all can go back and look through it. Let's have a conversation. This channel is about having great programming that causes conversation, because I do want to see a change. And I talk about the things that I like to see change. But I want to know what you want to see change too. Peace. I love y'all.